Assalamu alaikum students. Welcome to your English class beta. How are you all? I hope you all are fit and fine. How's your classes going on beta? I hope you are enjoying them. It's our fourth week beta and I hope everyone is enjoying and learning new things every week. Beta, our today's lesson is from our Oxford Modern English book 7 unit 6. And the topic of that unit is The Machine Stops. It's a very interesting story written by E.M. Forster. Before starting it, beta, let's set some objectives. By the end of the lesson, beta, you will be able to read the text with the correct pronunciation. You will be able to deduce answers from the text and there will be new words in your vocabulary. Do you know beta who was Edward Morgan Foster? And what is a science fiction? Beta, E.M. Forster was an English novelist, short story writer and essayist and librettist. And what is a science fiction? A science fiction is a genre of fiction literature whose content is imaginative but based in science. It relies heavily on scientific facts, theories and its principles. E.M. Forster is a very famous novelist and he has written many stories, many short stories, many novels, but he is famous for his science fiction. His most famous novel is Passage to India, in which he has described the life of Indians in a story. The Machine Stops is his very famous novel in which he has described a technology which we are using right now. It is very easy to understand the language which he has written. So let's start its reading. Are you ready? Let's start it.
The machine stops. Imagine, if you can, a small room, hexagonal in shape, like the cell of a bee. It is lighted neither by window nor by lamp, yet it is filled with a soft radiance. There are no openings for ventilation, yet the air is fresh. There are no musical instruments, and yet, at this moment, this room is throbbing with melodious sounds. An armchair is in the center, by its side a reading desk, that is all the furniture. And in the armchair there sits a swaddled lump of flesh, a woman, about 5 feet high, with a face as white as a fungus. It is to her that the little room belongs. An electric bell rang. The woman touched a switch and the music was silent. I suppose I must see who it is, she thought, and set her chair in motion. The chair, like the music, was worked by machinery and it rolled her to the other side of the room where the bell still rang importunately. "Who is it?" she called. Her voice was irritable, for she had been interrupted often since the music began. She knew several thousand people. In certain directions human communication had advanced enormously. But when she listened into the receiver, her white face wrinkled into smiles, and she said, "Very well. Let us talk. I will isolate myself. I do not expect anything important will happen for the next 5 minutes, for I can give you full 5 minutes, can I? Then I must deliver my lecture on music during the Australian period."
Okay beta, do you understand what has described on this page? The language, have you noticed the language is very easy? This is a story of a woman named Vashti and she is a teacher who is using a modern technology which we call right now internet. She is preparing her lecture on music during the Australian period when suddenly their bell rang and she came to know that the boy Kino is calling her. She has 5 minutes spare, so she took his call. Let's read the next page.
She touched the isolation knob, so that no one else could speak to her. Then she touched the lighting switches, and the little room was plunged into darkness. Be quick! Exclamation mark. She called, her irritation returning. Be quick, Kuno. Here I am in the dark wasting my time. But it was fully 15 seconds before the round plate that she held in her hands began to glow. A faint blue light shot across it, darkening to purple, and presently she could see the image of her son, who lived on the other side of the earth, and he could see her. Kuno, how slow you are. I really believe you enjoy dawdling. I have called you before, Mother, but you are always busy or isolated. I have something particular to say. What is it, dearest boy? Be quick. Why could you not send it by pneumatic post? Because I prefer saying such a thing. I want apostrophe. Well, question mark. I want you to come and see me. Vashti watched his face in the blue plate. But I can see you, she exclaimed. What more do you want? I want to see you not through the machine, said Kuno. I want to speak to you not through the wearisome machine. Oh, hush, said his mother, vaguely shocked. You mustn't say anything against the machine. Why not? One mustn't. You talk as if a god had made the machine, cried Kuno. I believe that you pray to it when you are unhappy. Men made it, do not forget that. Great men, but men. The machine is much, but is not everything. I see something like you in this plate, but I do not see you. I hear something you through this telephone, but I do not hear you. That is why I want you to come. Pay me a visit, so that we can meet face to face, and talk about the hopes that are in my mind. She replied that she could scarcely spare the time for a visit. The airship barely takes 2 days to fly between me and you. I dislike airships. Why? Question mark. I dislike seeing the horrible brown earth, and the sea, and the stars when it is dark. I get no ideas in an airship. I do not get them anywhere else. What kind of ideas can the air give you? He paused for an instant. Do you not know 4 big stars that form an oblong, and 3 stars close together in the middle of the oblong, and hanging from these stars, 3 other stars?
Okay, beta. So on this page, we came to know that Kuno is the son of Vishti, and he is calling her from the same blue plate which Vishti has. Right now, the son wants his mother to come to him and pay a visit, as he wants to feel her close to him. So he is saying to her that please come to me and meet me by person. He is fed up of being talking to her through this blue plate, which we call right now a mobile, a tablet, or a laptop as well. So basically the boy is fed up of this technology which his mother is using, but his mother is not ready to accept that. Kuno is telling her that he wants her to meet him, so she should come on a airship and meet him. But she is afraid of a airship because she dislikes to be on a airship. Let's read the next page.
No, I do not. But did they give you an idea? How interesting, tell me. I had an idea that they were like a man. Dot. I do not understand. Dot. The 4 big stars are the man's shoulders and his knees. The 3 stars in the middle are like the belts that men wore once, and the 3 stars hanging are like a sword. Dot. A sword? Question mark. Men carried swords with them, to kill animals and other men. It does not strike me as a very good idea, but it is certainly original. When did it come to you for a sword? In the airship. He broke off, and she fancied that he looked sad. She could not be sure, for the machine did not transmit nuances of expression. It only gave a general idea of people, an idea that was good enough for all practical purposes, Vashti thought. The finer details of expression was rightly ignored by the machine, just as the finer detail of the grape was ignored by the manufacturers of artificial fruit. Something good enough had long since been accepted by our race. The truth is, he continued, that I want to see the stars again. They are curious stars. I want to see them not from the airship, but from the surface of the earth, as our ancestors did, thousands of years ago. I want to visit the surface of the earth. She was shocked again. Mother, you must come, if only to explain to me what is the harm of visiting the surface of the earth. No harm, she replied, controlling herself, but no advantage. The surface of the earth is only dust and mud, no life remains on it, and you would need a respirator, or the cold of the outer air would kill you. One dies immediately in the outer air. I know. Of course I shall take all precautions. And besides apostrophe. Well, question mark. She considered, and chose her words with care. Her son had a personality, and she wished to dissuade him from the expedition. It is contrary to the spirit of the age, she asserted. Do you mean by that, contrary to the machine? In a sense, but... His image in the blue plate faded. Kano exclamation mark. He had isolated himself. For a moment Vashti felt lonely. Thus she generated the light and the sight of her.
Okay, beta, let's read the next page.
Room, flooded with radiance and studded with electric buttons, revived her. There were buttons and switches everywhere, buttons to call for food, for music, for clothing. There was the hot bath button, by pressure of which a basin of imitation marble rose out of the floor, filled to the brim with a warm deodorized liquid. There was the cold bath button. There was the button that produced literature. And there were of course the buttons by which she communicated with her friends. The room, though it contained nothing, was in touch with all that she cared for in the world. Vashti's next move was to turn off the isolation switch, and all the accumulations of the last 3 minutes burst upon her. The room was filled with the noise of bells and speaking tubes. What was the new food like? Could she recommend it? Has she had any ideas lately? Might one tell her one's own ideas? Would she make an engagement to visit the public nurseries at an early date? Say this day month. To most of these questions she replied with irritation, a growing quality in that accelerated age. She said that the new food was horrible, that she could not visit the public nurseries through press of engagements, that she had no ideas of her own but had just been told one, that 4 stars and 3 in the middle were like a man. She doubted there was much in it. Then she switched off her correspondence, for it was time to deliver her lecture on Australian music. The clumsy system of public gatherings had been long since abandoned. Neither Vashti nor audience stirred from their rooms. Seated in her armchair she spoke, while they in their chairs heard her, fairly well, and saw her, fairly well. Her
Okay, beta, so you have heard the audio and you are now much clear about your story, The Machine Stops. So your today's tasks are, these are your dictation words which you have to learn and write them in your copies neatly. This is your dictation paragraph which you have to learn and write them in your, in your copy. Now, these are your word synonyms which you have to also write in your copy, and these are the questions which you have to answer in your copy. You have to find the answers from the comprehension, the story which you have read already. Now, in the end, what we have learned today, that we have read a text, we have learned new vocabulary words, and we have solved the comprehension successfully. I hope you enjoyed my lecture. Thank you very much, and Allah Hafiz.